Hey, trivia lovers. Welcome back to We Love Trivia.
Before starting, please like and subscribe to We Love Trivia for more exciting games.
Welcome, trivia lovers. Today's game will test your knowledge on American history. Answer as many of the 25 multiple-choice questions as you can, but be careful. This game may be a bit harder than you thought. Good luck. What year did the American Revolution officially begin? Was it 1772, 1775, 1776, or 1789?
The American Revolution started on April 19, 1775, with the exchange of gunfire at Lexington and Concord in Massachusetts.
Who was the primary writer of the Declaration of Independence? Was it Thomas Paine, Benjamin Franklin, John Adams, or Thomas Jefferson?
The primary author of the Declaration of Independence was Thomas Jefferson, but he was not alone in this endeavor. A committee was formed by the Second Continental Congress to draft the Declaration, and it included John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Roger Sherman, and Robert Livingston.
Which U.S. president is famous for his role in establishing the national park system? Was it Andrew Jackson, Teddy Roosevelt, Dwight D. Eisenhower, or Franklin D. Roosevelt?
The teddy bear, a popular children's toy, is named after Theodore Teddy Roosevelt. The story goes that during one of Roosevelt's hunting trips in Mississippi in 1902, he was invited to join in on a bear hunt. However, he found the experience unsportsmanlike and refused to shoot a bear that was trapped and tied up for him.
In which state was the first colony established by the Pilgrims in 1620? Was it Virginia, Massachusetts, Maryland, or Delaware?
The Pilgrims initially intended to settle in Virginia, but due to storms and navigational issues, they ended up farther north in what is now Plymouth, Massachusetts.
Who is credited with the phrase, "no taxation without representation"? Was it Benjamin Franklin, Patrick Henry, John Adams, or James Otis?
Taxation without representation is tyranny was used in his pamphlet, The Rights of the British Colonies Asserted and Proved, which was written in 1764.
What was the name of the first permanent English settlement in North America? Was it Jamestown, Plymouth, Roanoke, or New Amsterdam?
One lesser-known fact about Jamestown is that during the harsh winter of 1609 through 1610, known as the Starving Time, the colonists were so desperate for food that some resorted to cannibalism.
Which Native American woman is famous for helping Lewis and Clark on their expedition? Was it Sacagawea, Pocahontas, Squanto, or Sitting Bull?
Sacagawea served as an interpreter and guide for the expedition, which aimed to explore and map the newly acquired Louisiana Territory. What makes this even more fascinating is that she did all of this while carrying her infant son, Jean-Baptiste, on her back throughout the journey.
Who wrote the pamphlet Common Sense that argued for American independence? Was it John Adams, Thomas Paine, Alexander Hamilton, or Benjamin Franklin?
Despite the limited means of communication in the 18th century, Common Sense had an enormous readership, with an estimated 500,000 copies sold in a population of around 2.5 million in the American colonies.
What battle is considered the turning point of the American Revolution? Was it Battle of Saratoga, Battle of Bunker Hill, Battle of Yorktown, or Battle of Trenton?
The Battle of Saratoga was a turning point in the Revolutionary War. The American defeat of the superior British Army lifted patriot morale, furthered the hope for independence, and helped to secure the foreign support needed to win the war.
What treaty ended the American Revolution and recognized the United States as an independent nation? Was it Treaty of Paris, Treaty of Versailles, Treaty of Madrid, or Treaty of London?
One fascinating fact is that negotiations for the treaty took place in Paris, as the name suggests, but there were actually 3 separate treaties that came out of the negotiations.
Who was the 3rd President of the United States? Was it John Adams, Alexander Hamilton, James Madison, or Thomas Jefferson?
Jefferson was an avid and accomplished amateur paleontologist. He discovered and described several previously unknown species, including the mastodon, a prehistoric relative of the elephant.
Which president is known for the Louisiana Purchase, doubling the size of the United States? Was it Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, John Adams, or George Washington?
The Louisiana Purchase in 1803 was a massive land acquisition by the United States from France, doubling the size of the country. One intriguing aspect of this purchase is that the exact boundaries of the land acquired were not entirely clear at the time of the agreement.
Who was the first president of the United States to be impeached by the House of Representatives? Was it Andrew Johnson, James Buchanan, Richard Nixon, or Bill Clinton?
Ultimately, he was impeached by the House of Representatives in 1868 on charges of violating the Tenure of Office Act, which sought to limit the president's power to remove certain office holders without congressional approval.
Who served as president during the War of 1812? Was it Thomas Jefferson, John Quincy Adams, James Madison, or Andrew Jackson?
The War of 1812, often called the Second War of Independence by some Americans, had a curious twist related to the White House. During this conflict, British forces invaded Washington, D.C. in 1814. They burned several government buildings, including the U.S. Capitol and the White House.
Which president was responsible for the doctrine which aimed to prevent European intervention in the Western Hemisphere? Was it James Monroe, Andrew Jackson, John Quincy Adams, or Martin Van Buren?
The Monroe Doctrine declared that the Western Hemisphere was no longer open to colonization by European powers. It aimed to prevent further European expansion and the establishment of new colonies in North and South America.
Which state was the first to secede from the Union, leading to the Civil War? Was it South Carolina, Virginia, Texas, or Georgia?
The American Civil War began on April 12, 1861, when Confederate forces under General P.G.T. Beauregard fired on Fort Sumter, a Union military fort located in the harbor of Charleston, South Carolina.
Who served as the President of the Confederate States of America during the Civil War? Was it Robert E. Lee, Jefferson Davis, Ulysses S. Grant, or Stonewall Jackson?
Davis was eventually captured on May 10, 1865, in Irwinville, Georgia, while trying to escape. What makes this capture unique is that when Union soldiers found him, he was wearing women's clothing, including a shawl and bonnet, in an attempt to disguise himself and evade capture.
Where did General Robert E. Lee surrender, effectively ending the Civil War? Was it Appomattox Courthouse, Gettysburg, Atlanta, or Richmond?
The surrender took place on April 9, 1865, in the parlor of Wilmer McLean's home, which is often referred to as the McLean House.
The United States purchased Alaska from which country in 1867? Was it Russia, Canada, Spain, or France?
Secretary of State William H. Seward negotiated the deal with Russia for $7.2 million. The region eventually proved to be rich in natural resources, including gold, oil, and fish, making it an economically valuable acquisition.
Which U.S. president signed the Civil Rights Act of 1964 into law? Was it John F. Kennedy, Lyndon B. Johnson, Richard Nixon, or Dwight D. Eisenhower?
Fun fact, The Civil Rights Act actually had a profound impact on sports, particularly in Major League Baseball. In 1947, Jackie Robinson had broken the color barrier, but racial segregation and discrimination were still widespread. The act helped pave the way for greater integration in sports, leading to more opportunities for African American and other minority athletes.
In what year did the United States land the first humans on the moon? Was it 1952, 1962, 1969, or 1976?
While the Apollo 11 mission in 1969 was the first successful crewed mission to land on the moon, it wasn't the first time humans had traveled to the moon. In 1959, the Soviet Luna 2 spacecraft became the first human-made object to reach the moon. However, it was an unmanned mission and crashed into the moon.
Where was the site of the famous Watergate scandal? Was it New York City, Washington, D.C., Los Angeles, California, or Boston, Massachusetts?
A fun fact about the Watergate scandal is that it indirectly led to the creation of the White House Press Corps' annual tradition, known as the White House Correspondents' Dinner. The dinner is a black tie event attended by journalists, politicians, and celebrities, and it serves as a fundraiser for scholarships in journalism.
What river forms much of the border between Texas and Mexico? Is it the Rio Grande, Mississippi River, Colorado River, or Missouri River?
This international border is defined by the 1848 Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo and the 1970 Boundary Treaty, which established the exact location of the border in the river.
What is the largest state by area in the United States? Is it California, Texas, Alaska, or Montana?
Alaska covers approximately 663,000 square miles. To put this into perspective, Alaska is larger than the next three largest U.S. states, Texas, California, and Montana, combined.
What is the name of the longest river in the United States? Is it the Mississippi River, Ohio River, Missouri River, or Colorado River?
Not only is it the longest river on the continent, but it has also played a significant role in the history of the United States, serving as a major transportation route during westward expansion in the 19th century. It was a key part of the Lewis and Clark expedition and has been vital for trade, exploration, and settlement in the American Midwest.
That concludes our game today. Let us know how you did. Are you as schooled on American history as you thought?